Hello everyone, I'm Benavision, and today I wanted to break down the Tucker Carlson interview as best as I can. I'm gonna just run through it. It's 2 hours long, and I don't want to record for 2 hours, so I'm telling you right now, I'm blazing through this thing. I started at the first thing that I disagreed with the both of them on it, and I'm about 5 minutes into it. They basically just been introducing each other, and they've both been like, I've been supporting you for a long time. I appreciate that. I support you too. I love you. I love you. All right. And now we're going to. If I knew how to work
I mean,
OBS.
people sort of naturally fall into, I think they
Sorry, let me give you a little heads up. They're talking about being either isolationist when it comes to threats against America or invade everyone when it comes to.
want to classify people and they're like, okay, you're one or the other and you got to be all or nothing. And the interventionists, it seems, have never seen a country they didn't want to invade, and that doesn't make any sense to me. And the isolationists, I think, don't take the threats to America seriously, and I think that's naive and it doesn't work.
This is my first point that I kind of disagreed with them on, is because I am of a mindset, and I think a lot of people could agree with me on this. The United States will never, ever, ever, ever be able to be fully toppled. Like, I don't know if you've heard the game Wolfenstein. There's a game where, like, the Nazis win World War II and America is completely colonized by the Nazis. I call big fat baloney on that, man. The United States, at least from the way, especially the right talks about it, the left talks about it too, but definitely the right side talks about it, especially with all their guns, is bull crap that you think you're taking over America, even if you were to somehow wipe every five branches of our military defense. You come over here, and then the next fight you have are the people. I think there are more guns in America than there are people in America, which means by by average, every single house has at least one gun in the house, meaning every single home becomes a bunker that you have to topple in America. Every house, every person, every place probably has a gun in it, and if you're invading America, it's not just going to be the soldiers. It's going to be the people. It's going to be that grandpa sitting out on his porch with the double barrel shotgun. And then he sees North Korean troops walking down the street. He's going to blow one away. He's probably going to die, but he's going to blow two away at least. Like, that's the spirit of a fight in American soil. America could never be toppled. America can never be toppled by a ground invasion, by an actual physical invasion. Unless, here's your threat to America. The threat to America is economic. We are the trade power of the world. We're not like Japan in the 1800s where they were totally isolationist. Even if Trump wants to say that, and even though Trump wants the policies of an isolationist country, of which we're all of a sudden we're not trading with anyone and we're going to make everything here in America, that won't work at all because we're not isolationist. America and Americans love everything from everywhere in the world and they want it here in America, and you have to produce some things in other parts of the world for the world to work. If every country in the world could build everything they want in the country that they have, then there would be no need for trade ever. Ever. There would be no trade ever. If every country has everything they ever wanted, there would be nothing. So being isolationist only works to a certain extent, and that's why we probably were able to topple Japan so easily, because we were America. We came over and we were like, hey, you're trading with us now. And they were like, no. And we were like, you're trading with us now. And they really had nothing else to say.
And so my view, I consider myself a third point on the triangle. And what I describe that as is that I am a non-interventionist hawk, which sounds a little weird, but what do I mean by that?
It's his persona.
I mean the central touch point for U.S. foreign policy and for any question of military intervention should be the vital national security interest of the United States. How does this make America safer? How does this protect Americans? If it does, we should be strong. And actually, another way of conceiving what I'm saying, I'm speaking theoretically, but Reagan referred to it as peace through strength. And actually, I think Donald Trump's foreign policy is very much what I'm describing.
That right there, that peace through strength, is exactly what Donald Trump is adopting now. He probably heard Ted Cruz say Reagan said it, so now, because Donald Trump loves being a wannabe Reagan. He loves Reagan, and he can't be Reagan. And anything Reagan needs to happen with Trump. And it's just amazing. If you think about us as any other country. Imagine if Germany started talking like this. Imagine if Germany was like, considering my national security, if I threw over the United States government, would that be beneficial to me? And if it is, how do I do it? Like, bro, what are you talking about? Calm down. Calm down. You're not the world police power. The UN is. The UN is the world policing power. The United States should not be. We have been in the past. We have definitely tried to be the world policing power, and you know how well that's gone for us. Just look at Vietnam. About trying to police the planet. That's not going to work well for us, guys.
Non-interventionist talk, where he understands that, and I think this is historically true, the best way to avoid war is being strong. That weakness and isolationism, I think, encourages war.
Yes.
So going back.
That's how we were able to topple Japan so easily and make them trade with us when they were isolationists. We were like, oh, wow, that's great. You have absolutely no military infrastructure at all to beat us. And that's like how I believe it was Benavision got taken over by Italy during World War II. It was just like, oh, wow, you have a bunch of spears and bow and arrows, and I have a tank. Well, guess I own you now. I own your land now, is what I meant to say. That's basically how Italy did it back in the 40s. Like, if you're isolationist and you're weak, guess what? If you have a asshole country next to you, they're gonna invade you. Oh, wow, you're a small European country bordering Germany in the 40s. I wonder what's going to happen to you. You're going to get squashed.
To regime change, where you start.
Oh, wow, you have no nuclear weapons, and you're trying to become a Western civilization. My name's Vladimir Putin, and I'm invading your ass.
In Iran.
So just to make, I don't think I disagree with anything you've said, so we may not be that far apart, really, because you said that the single criterion for making decisions about America's foreign policy is America's national interest.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Which is also America first. That's another way of putting that as well.
I think it's the definition of it.
Yeah.
It's hardly breaking news that the U.S. dollar has been today.
Skipping.
The question is, are we watching that now?
So I think we are.
To start today.
Okay. I just noticed he has a picture of Ronald Reagan on the wall. They really like sucking up to Ronald Reagan. Let's skip ahead a little bit.
John Kerry said, we're going to engage in an unbelievably small strike. I think that's a quote. I'm like, okay, and to do what? At the time, there were...
So, I believe they're talking about the regime change. The regime change...
Wait, is that better?
Syria.
That doesn't seem
well,
like
look,
a win.
one of the things you said...
I would like to go back to Iran.
And you have dictators in the Middle East who are killing radical Islamic terrorists. We come in and topple them. The radical Islamic terrorists take over and they start killing Americans. In my view, how the heck does that help us? Like, Saddam Hussein was a horrible human being. He murdered and tortured people. Unequivocally bad guy. But it got much worse after we toppled him. And you ended up having ISIS rise up. I mean, that was the cause of ISIS, was toppling Saddam Hussein.
Oh wow, the CIA funded weapons versus the CIA funded weapons. Let's see who wins. Oh, it's the CIA. Oh, awesome.
Same thing in Libya. You had Gaddafi, another horrible guy that under Obama we toppled him, and you ended up having radical Islamic warlords taking over. And so it's the question I asked in Syria. Okay, well, what's the plan? And how is this good or bad for the United States? And so I don't think with Iran, I view Iran as very different from Iraq. That's an example of
I don't want to talk about the past. I want to talk about now.
peace through strength.
I wonder, I mean, is there anybody who was alive in 1989 who wouldn't trade that America for the one we live in now? There's not one person, I don't think.
Oh, sure.
But, I mean, just...
That's like saying, oh yeah, I don't think there's anyone who was born in 1946 who wouldn't trade 1946 for right now. And you're white. I don't think there's any white person born in 1946 that wouldn't trade America for now America. There you go. And you're a man. You're not a woman. You are white and you are a man.
The basic metrics, debt,
We have been getting progressively worse since 1946 about. That's about our peak was right after World War II, and then we kind of coped with Korea, and we coped harder with Vietnam, and we were molding by Iraqi area, and then now we got the Middle East, of which we've been absolutely seething for 20 years, and now we're in a point where we're all boiling. And we're like, why are we so bad? It's because we have nothing to build off of.
suicide rate, life expectancy, it was...
We're an industrial civilization. That's our main profit incentive is war. Our main business is war. That's the whole business strategy of America. If America was a business, it would be Lockheed Martin, and it practically is. Because we are a warlike country. The second we hear war, everyone's like, oh no, we're going to war. And the top 1%, is like, yes, my stock market is going to go up, my portfolio is going to go up, and our economy is going to go through the fucking roof when we all get back from war, and all of these poor people are dead.
I wonder why, after that victory, America didn't thrive in the way that we thought that it would, that I thought that it would. My family was involved in that. I mean, we were very focused on it in my house. Like, we won. And I wonder two things. Why didn't the United States kind of declare victory and make some sort of arrangement with Russia that allowed like mutual prosperity rather than continuing a Cold War? And second, I wonder why the United States...
You're wondering why we didn't work together with Russia. Buddy, the last time we... Other than now, because we have fucking Comrade Kesnov in office, other than right now with Comrade Kesnov, the last time we worked with fucking Russia was to kill the Nazis. And guess what? The Russians did most of the work. The Russians made it all the way past Berlin. We thought we were going to make it to Berlin. We thought us and Britain were going to make it to Berlin. They beat us to the fucking punch. It wasn't our doing that killed Hitler. It was the thing that put the fucking fear of God in Hitler was Soviet troops about 400 miles away. Or I think it was like 4,000 feet away from there.
Didn't get a lot better. Like, why don't we have better infrastructure? Why don't we have fewer homeless? Why do we have all these drugs? Like, if we won, why does our country look like?
Why do we have drugs? Maybe ask the fucker hung on your wall.
Like this. I walked across from Union Station this morning, as you do, I'm sure, every day. And all these people lying in the street and sleeping outside. It's like, what is that?
We're sorry to say it.
What is that? Why is there homeless in the middle of the street? Why aren't they like on park benches? Why aren't they like in places where they can get care? Who knows?
Some of it is politics and some of it is culture.
I wonder what party is trying to help the homeless and what party is not trying to help the homeless.
And one of the mistakes people make in politics is thinking everything is politics. So the political aspect
to our country.
I think we're getting to where... Oh yeah, we're getting to the juicy bits here. This is what made the interview go so crazy. It's the topic of Israel, which is a very, very touchy topic that I can't wait to get into.
The dollars spent, the aid packages to Ukraine to pay the retirement of civil servants in a country that we have nothing to do with, the endless...
Okay, he's false on this. Because we have a lot to do with Ukraine. We have a vested interest in Ukraine thriving as a nation by itself. away from Russia. First of all, the reason why we would want Ukraine to be an independent nation is the canceling out the reformation of the land territories that the Soviet Union held, and we don't want Russia to regain the land that they had from the Soviet Union. Because imagine Russia takes Latvia, Lithuania, and takes Ukraine, and takes Moldova, and takes Kazakhstan, and all the stands down there. Not Pakistan, that probably would still be standing. But imagine if the Soviet Union was back today. Russia would be a powerhouse again. Russia isn't a powerhouse. Russia has a lot of land. You know what most of it is? It's a fucking forest. The whole fucking backyard of Russia is a forest. If this is Russia, this much is usable. Like, it's not a big... It's the biggest country in the world, but it's not the biggest country of landmass that's actually usable. I'd probably give that to India. Russia, on the other hand, the reason why we would like Ukraine to stay an independent nation, the reason why we spend so much money is because they were becoming a more democratized Western civilization, which Tucker Carlson loves so much. He loves Western civilization, and I think he'll talk about that later. If not, I have a few clips to show you after we get done looking at the interview. He loves Western civilization. So I think, if anything, Tucker Carlson would have a vested interest in Ukraine. The only reason why is because Democrats supported Ukraine, and that's why he doesn't like Ukraine. When I think it should be a bipartisan effort to keep an independent, sovereign nation alive from a tyrant's control. We have dictator number 2, electric Nazi boogaloo Putin, trying to blitzkrieg his way through Ukraine with the help of his bald friend in Belarus. And guess what? We should stop them, because who's next? After if say Ukraine got wiped out and it's just Russia and Belarus, well then guess who's the next land border with them? Moldova, Romania, and Poland. And technically I think Slovakia also. I can guarantee you, the second a Russian soldier puts a foot on Polish ground, first of all, that might be nuclear war right there. But Poland is not fucking about. Poland would decimate Russia in an instant. And Poland is a part of NATO and would declare the article that we all know so well that would bring us all into the fight. That's right, the fall of Ukraine doesn't just affect you, it affects all of us. Yes, we can't be isolationist if we're part of an international alliance.
Support for Israel, very expensive. When people are literally buying groceries on credit in the United States, can you feel like nothing against Ukraine or Israel or any other country?
All right, let's stop. You said the support for Israel very expensive. How much support do we give to Israel?
Well, you tell me. You vote for it.
Yeah, it's about $3 billion a year is the military assistance.
Is that the only assistance?
Yeah, we just have military assistance. Israel does not have additional assistance. There's an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, and it's $3 billion a year.
So what is it costing to support the bombing campaign to protect Israel right now from Iran?
So I don't know right now, but I'll tell you this. Let's go back to the touchstone on foreign policy, American interest.
He's getting off the topic of Israel, but I didn't know that. First of all, I'd like to say I did not know that we gave $3 billion to fucking Israel every year. Every year for their military. We give them $3 billion. How much money did we give? Hold on. I would like to look this up. Okay, we allocated about $182 billion to Ukraine. Okay. So, we gave Ukraine about 20 billion short of 200 billion. I'll round up for the sake of complicity. $200 billion to Ukraine. We give how much 3 billion?
Protect Israel right now from Iran?
So I don't know right now, but I'll tell you this. Let's go back to the touchdown on Austin. There's an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, and it's $3 billion a year.
So what does it cost?
$3 billion a year. $3 billion a year to Israel. Why? What are they protecting themselves from that they can't fund themselves? I can understand funding Ukraine because you're up against Russia, which is a direct border. But what direct border is Israel being threatened from? Iran has a whole country between him and Israel. It's called Saudi Arabia.
On foreign policy, American interest, our support, our military support for Israel is massive.
Holy shit, is my geography wrong? Is my geography wrong? Is my geography wrong? I might be wrong. Hold on. I'm going to let this play out. But
Massively in America's national security
But what does
interest,
it
and
cost?
it benefits us enormously.
Well, before we can make independent judgments about whether or not that's true, and I'm certainly open to it, I think we need to know what it costs. So what's the annual cost of defending Israel? Do you know?
$3 billion a year.
No, that's the aid. But I mean, the cost of the weapons, for example, the cost of...
Excuse me. Let me just clear this up real quick. There is not one country in between Israel and Iran. There's in fact 3 countries if you go in a straight line. It would be Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and then you would reach Iran from Israel. Or if you go for the most direct line through as little countries as you could probably go through Jordan, through Iraq, and reach Iran.
Of U.S. personnel there, the cost of moving ships to the region, which we're doing right now, the cost of moving tankers to the region, all of that. Do we know what the cost is?
So look, the last week, I don't know, and there's some lag when the administration, under the Constitution, the commander-in-chief has control of the armed forces, and so President Trump has made some decisions that we'll know the cost over time, but I don't know the last week. I don't have visibility on that. The annual cost is $3 billion. It's a 10-year memorandum of understanding, and that's the principal driver of the cost. But let me make a point. We get massive benefits from Israel. Israel shares the Mossad is one of the best intelligence sources on the planet.
We have the CIA. Mossad, sure. Mossad is a great intelligence agency, of which I heard that they treat our agents like shit. But I'll say, here's my rebuttal, sir. Here's my rebuttal. We have the CIA. We're the country with the CIA. The CIA, bro. Do you know how much the CIA was running back in the 60s and 70s and 80s? The CIA could topple governments by itself. We were talking about that 5 seconds ago with Saddam Hussein. The CIA did that. What the fuck are we talking about?
Planet. The enemies of Israel, the people who hate Israel, they all hate us.
They hate us because they hate Israel. If we stopped supporting Israel, maybe they would hate us a little less.
It's almost a perfect overlap. And so if we tried to recreate, if we're just trying to defend America, we tried to recreate the national security benefits of our alliance with Israel, it would cost, I don't know, $30 billion, $300 billion.
So can you...
$30 billion, $300 billion. Israel's worth $300 billion to us.
elaborate? And again,
I'm just saying, if it only cost $30 billion to, build the type of support that Israel gives us, how long have we been funding Israel? Nice, Israel. Is my internet crapping out? I think it is. We've been providing since their establishment of 1948. So we've been giving... This doesn't make sense. That's not true. Okay. Just for a little, little math game here. If we supported Israel with $3 billion every year since the establishment of Israel in 1948, and we've been giving them $3 billion every year since 1948, and the benefits that we get from Israel could be made here in the United States for about $30 billion. We have given Israel $231 billion. Which, I don't know about you, but that's a little more than 30. And even with saying $300 billion, like he just said right after that, we're only about $70 billion off, which I think we could fork over $70 billion, and maybe we could just put it on our gigantic credit card called the fucking national debt, since we're so fucking good at that.
I'm going into this as someone who's always liked Israel, and still does. But I also think at this point, given where we are, it's fair to ask rational questions about what the benefits are.
Good.
So does Mossad share all of its intelligence with us?
Oh, probably not, but they share a lot. We don't share all of our intelligence with them, but we share a lot. It's a close alliance.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian. You don't think humans are all... Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work. As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us, and I'm not...
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that, and
by the way,
I'm not mad at them.
Okay. How about this? If you have a suspicion that a foreign power, whether it be Israel, or North Korea, or China, or even fucking Liechtenstein for all I care, open an investigation up. I would like to know if we have foreign spies in our government, or even our local governments, our sheriff's offices. I could give a fuck if they're spying on our grocery stores. I would like to know. I would like to know. Is the Mossad spying on us? Maybe. Let's open up an investigation. How about that? It's almost like we have the CIA for that, or the FBI, or the NSA. We have all of these agencies that all do intelligence in a lot of great ways. We have the Bureau of Investigations. We have the National Security Agency. National Security, Homeland Security, CIA. Any of these agencies want to open it up, see if any other group is spying on us? See if there's any Liechtensteinian spies in here? Are there any Swiss spies in here? Is there a spy from Madagascar here? Maybe research that a little. Maybe look into that.
You're an American lawmaker, so I just want to know, hold on, I want to know your attitude. Yeah. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion.
I said guiding, the overwhelming, I wouldn't say only.
Is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is in America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it. And you want to see the clearest...
But I just want to stop on the spying for a second. That it takes place, as you know, and including on the president of the United States and several press...
By the way, the reason why this interview went so crazy is because the left is agreeing with Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson is fucking crazy.
And I just want to know if that's okay, and why is it okay? Wouldn't an American lawmaker say to a client state, you're not allowed to spy on us? I'm sorry, I know why you want to. I'm not mad at you, but you're not allowed to.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. I don't want to be spied on by you. It's kind of weird not to say that.
Yeah, hey, please don't steal my pudding in kindergarten terms. Hey, I gotta go grab some napkins. Don't steal my fucking pudding while I'm gone, my friend.
But you don't seem able to say that.
Sure, I would say don't spy on us. They're going to anyway. And by the way, the Brits are, the Canadians are. Like, I don't think...
Well, I'm not for that at all. Okay. I think it's disgusting. But we don't actually pay their... we're not their most meaningful sponsor. We're not sort of paying for the operations of the British government.
So I gotta say, and this is... It's weird we're talking about isolationists, the obsession with Israel. Why is Israel?
Oh, I don't think.
Why do we have an obsession with it? You're talking about Tucker Carlson's obsession with Israel. The only reason why Tucker Carlson, or anyone in the world, including me, is talking about Israel is because it seems as though our lawmakers and our congressmen and women and our senators and our governors and our presidents and our vice presidents and our speakers, all of them seem to have such an amazing viewpoint about Israel. Israel can't do anything wrong at all in anyone's eyes. They're the perfect state. They don't do anything wrong.
I'm obsessed with Israel.
Okay, but I think a lot of people are, and like the question, Israel spies on us. Well, so does every other country. Why are you mad at Israel?
I guess. Oh no.
I would be mad at any country spying on me. Any country, including my own. By the way, NSA, CIA. I am also mad at my own government spying on me. I think a lot of conservatives could agree with me on that. I think actually everyone in America could agree with me on that no one likes to be spied on. Not by a foreign or a domestic agency. I don't want the Bundeswehr knowing what I'm doing. I don't want the Mossad knowing what I'm doing. I don't want the CIA knowing what I'm doing.
I'm hardly the one who's. I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel...
From AiPAC.
So AiPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship.
Is AiPAC a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AiPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Great.
I've worked...
Excuse you for 5 seconds. I'm on a thing called trackingAiPAC.com. Ted Cruz is a congressman, right? I'm sorry, he's a senator. Okay, let me go to senators real quick. Let me see this. Do they not have Ted Cruz on here? Well, Ted Cruz, AiPAC money. How much money has Ted Cruz received from? Ted Cruz received approximately $1,309,326 from AiPAC. By the by. So about $1.3 million Ted Cruz has received from AiPAC. Just gonna say, if I received $1.3 million from someone, you could probably get me to say a lot.
Every day to do that. AiPAC, a lot of times, AiPAC, I wish were much more being the leading defense 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States.
A foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AiPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen.
I have a severe question for you. What the fuck do you think a PAC is? What do you think a super PAC is? What do you think a caucus is? What do you think lobbying is? Lobbying is just legal bribery. That's all it is. We made bribery illegal, but we made it perfectly legal for a guy with a lot of money. Say, I don't know. Okay, we're gonna be a little fucking ironic here. Say the Constitution of the United States is money, right? And I'm a rich guy. Oh, right here. Here's $50 on the table that I can use. $50 right here on the table. I'm a rich guy. This is my congressman right here. All right? I can't give money to my congressman, but what I can do is I can go to my lobbyist, which is the Constitution. The Constitution is my lobbyist, and I can say, "Hey, here's $50. Tell my congressman, here's $50." And now my congressman has $50 from me. And he knows that it's me. That's what lobbying is. So, being a part of the American-Israeli lobby group, saying that the American-Israeli lobbying group doesn't do anything.
Political action.
What does it lobby for?
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot.
To be honest, not a whole lot. They don't do anything. They just like giving us a lot of money. They have a lot of money. They had $1.3 million lying around and they just thought, why not give it to fucking Ted Cruz?
Lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13
He came into Congress. This is
years ago
Yes.
with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Great.
that's why you came in as a senator. That's why not because you wanted to, betterment of America. You didn't want the betterment of America. You didn't want to help the Texans. You could have stated that. You could have said the main reason why I became the Texas senator is to help people from Texas. How about that? I think that's a perfectly good response. The main reason you became a senator was to help Israel. Let's have a little thing here. Let's go from Dallas, Texas to Israel. How long is that? You can't give me directions to Israel? Oh, just no directions to Israel. I was going to see how far it was apart. But I'm just going to say, Israel is, only halfway across the globe from Texas. Ted Cruz. So, yeah. Anyways, no interests. They don't lobby for much.
Worked every day to do that. AiPAC, a lot of times, AiPAC, I wish were much more effective. Like, there are folks online who are in the fever swamp of terrified of AiPAC, and AiPAC...
I'm not terrified of AiPAC at all.
You wish that AiPAC was more effective. There's a whole ass website. Cory Booker, 800,000. Kamala Harris, 9 million. $9 million. Let's go to the Trump administration. Trump has approved $14 billion in military aid to weapons to Israel. Oh, let's see. $180 million. $4 billion. Another $3.01 billion. $7.4 billion. How many people? Let's see the Hall of Shame. Oh, they don't do much. They don't do much. Search by name or state. Let's do my state. Anyone from Connecticut? Ah. Here we go. Blumenthal, $389,000. Chris Murphy, $154,000. John Larson, $43K, $72K to Joe Courtney. Just saying. You think that they haven't given money? You say that they aren't effective? You say that they aren't effective. They aren't effective at all. They haven't done anything. Dude, they haven't done anything. Okay, if you say so.
You're the one who seems a little uncomfortable when I'm asking.
No,
this.
not uncomfortable at all.
I'm just asking what AiPAC does. My understanding, having known a lot of people
I
who
could
work
tell
at
you,
AiPAC,
I
is
deal
that
with
it
them all the time.
lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's
America has thousands of colleges and universities in the
don't
West.
care.
Hillsdale is our and
Don't care,
hopefully
don't care,
many
don't care,
cap-owns
don't care, don't care, don't care.
Mr. Netanyahu.
all the time.
Name one.
Okay. Let me go back and give a little history. If you want to do a deep dive on AiPAC, we
I don't. I want to do a shallow dive that gets.
No, I'm not gonna do a simple-
I want to get to the core question. AiPAC is lobbying for a foreign government, and I don't. It's not.
No.
It's lobbying for the United States.
It is lobbying for a strong U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Okay. So it's not has nothing to do with the foreign government.
It wants America and Israel to be closely allied.
Okay, but it's lobbying on behalf of the interests of another country.
So that's not true at all. And if
It's not true.
No.
How much contact do you think AiPAC leaders have for the government of Israel?
No idea. I
Any,
imagine
do you think?
some. I think the government of Israel is often frustrated with AiPAC
Do you
because
think there's
AiPAC's
any
not nearly strong enough.
Do you think there's any coordination between the government of Israel and AiPAC?
Do they talk? Sure. If you're lobbying for more U.S.-Mexico trade, would you talk to people in the U.S. and Mexico and the government? Sure. Like if...
So I'm not mad about that. There are a million countries that lobby Washington. I like a lot of those countries, including
Okay,
Israel.
but AiPAC are Americans. They're not Israelis.
Hold on. There are tons of Americans who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. I know them. I'm related to some of them. I know how it works. I'm from here. So my question is not, is it outrageous that foreign governments lobby the United States? They all do, okay, including Israel. My only question is, why don't we admit that is what's happening? You're denying it, but it's true.
Yeah,
and
but because what you're saying is false.
Why aren't they registered as a
you're
foreign lobby?
Because they're not.
They're not a foreign lobby.
No, they're not. And this is there's a fever swamp. Look,
it's not a fever swamp. These are very reasonable questions, and you've accused me of being obsessed with Israel, which I'm not.
I actually haven't. I've said
and of being
isolationist
feverish about it, which I'm not at all.
They talk about stuff like why should you like back Israel, and they're like, well, I'm a Christian and it says to back Israel in the Bible.
Shot the president was working for the Iranians. I don't think he was. There's no evidence of that. Although I would like to know more about who he was and what's going on. But I don't find it plausible that he. Okay, and I agree with you that he misspoke.
So there weren't those two attempts?
There were two attempts, but the clown in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the other guy on the golf course were not connected to the Iranians. That's the part that he misspoke.
This whole thing here are Iranian assassins trying to kill Donald Trump. I'm going to go with a hard yes on this. I'm going to say if any country had a shot, there's a political extremist from every country probably, that if the president, no matter who, doesn't even have to be Trump, if there was a president in the wide open, would probably take a shot.
In the war, but it's going to end. You're not going to see another dollar
coming from Congress. Do you think Zelensky wants to end the war?
I think Zelensky has behaved horribly. I think his Oval Office meeting will go down in history as the worst Oval Office meeting of any leader that has ever come to the Oval Office. I think he behaved like a pompous ass. And
How could bro be pompous? He was the least well-dressed in the room. He was wearing a t-shirt and combat pants, bro.
I think he is unrealistic. I think Zelensky spends his time with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in the New York Times, and he believed he was going to the Oval Office as a resist figure. And I think he's doing real damage to his country right now.
You described him many times as a hero.
I don't recall ever using the word hero. I will say, look, I'm not a Zelensky cheerleader, and I'm not in the business of saying everyone we support has to be a saint and everyone we oppose has to be a villain. I'm not in the morality game. I'm in the U.S. interest game. Why did I want Nord Stream 2 stopped?
I think as a basis of policy, your country should be moral. Your country should be moral, is what I think. I think down right to it, politics should be moral. I think if there was a lot more morality in politics, it would be a lot better. And if you think that American interests and morality are on two different levels. What? Then why is that our interests? Are we, at our core, are we bad people? I wouldn't believe so. I would believe that America is at least trying, for our most recent history, trying to be good. Trying. The decent, hardworking folks of America are trying to be good. I think that's of every country, actually. I think every country, the average citizen is trying to be the good person.
Stopped because it would strengthen Russia, and Russia's our enemies. It's entirely U.S. interest.
Did you
Yes.
support the industrial sabotage against it, blowing it up?
So I think you believe America did that. Is that right?
Of course.
Okay, I think the chances of that are zero.
You think Russia did it?
No,
Russia-
I think Ukraine did it. Okay, so I don't know. So I don't know who did it. In terms of the theories that have been put out there, the idea that Russia blew up their own pipeline never made any sense to me at all. That just, I can't even articulate why they would do that. The idea that Biden did that, look, I could see it being in U.S. interest to do that, to blow up Nord Stream 2. I just think Biden was too weak. I don't believe Joe Biden.
But
gave
are
that
you
order.
in? I guess you in.
So that leads
The
me-
Norwegians, the Ukrainians, NATO, whatever.
Look, that
Same-
leads me
same
to,
difference.
you know, who benefits? And it leads me to think either the Ukrainians blew it up or Ukraine's allies. I don't think Biden did, because Biden was so weak, I don't think he would give the order. I find that implausible.
But you're in favor of it.
Look, I was in favor of stopping it. I think blowing it up was a good thing. So I'm supportive of that, but I don't think America did that. I don't think Biden gave that order.
But in
I
general,
could see Trump giving that order, but he wasn't in office.
yeah. And you think that the largest act of industrial sabotage in history helped our allies in Western Europe or other fellow NATO members?
Look, I got to say, I don't understand. For some reason, you are really invested in defending Russia, and I don't get that. I'm not attacking you with that. I'm genuinely, I don't get why you're so passionate about defending Russia.
Because he went there and he liked their shopping carts.
Actually, I was defending Western Europe, the home of my ancestors, and that, tripling their energy costs and destroying their industrial base. You just accused me of being an anti-Semite, an isolationist, and a Russia-lackey. I've not called you a neocon once, which you are, but I haven't
That's
said
absurd. Yeah, those neocons that oppose the Iraq War,
right.
but that's
Okay,
dishonest.
but I haven't called you that because
Well, you just said, which you are, you just called that.
Okay.
Called me that. You just did.
So they're bickering like little fucking kindergarten children here they're literally name calling each other. If they were both 40 years younger, they would both be going, "You're a poopy head. You're a stink face." What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? We're arguing about who blew up a fucking pipeline 4 fucking years ago. And guess what? They're both wrong. Ted Cruz should keep backing Ukraine because Ukraine is downright our ally in the making. And fucking Tucker Carlson is wrong because guess what? Russia is not the powerhouse of Europe. Poland, France, and Germany are. Actually, I think it's France and Germany are the two powerhouses of Europe. Those two are the ones that were trying to make up a solution to not be dependent anymore at all for Russia's energy. They were trying to basically go net zero with Russia's energy to basically cut them off. By the way, probably killing a large part of Russia's economy, which they need to keep running if they ever want to win this war fully with Ukraine.
I guess what I'm saying is you're triggered because I use name calling. I get it. I was triggered when you called me names, and I'm triggered once again.
They're both triggered now. They're both liberals.
That you're calling me a Russia defender when in fact I'm defending Western Europe. And I don't think that you
Do you think Putin's our enemy?
Yes.
Well, he's literally our enemy. You are funding a war against him.
Do you
Thank you. Both of you, thank you.
think he is our? No, you're saying we're his enemy. Do you think Putin is our enemy?
I think
Yes.
it is a tragedy that
Yes.
your policies.
Fucking say yes to this. He is big. He is a fucking KGB agent. He knows how to fucking play us. And he knows how to play you. You're just a talk show host. And he knows how to play most of the congressmen and women who are in office right now. He knows how to play your ass. He knows how to play you. He played people his entire fucking life in the KGB. You don't think that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump in office because he knew that there would be a softer role that America was going to play in that Ukrainian war? Of course he wanted Donald Trump in there. He wanted Donald Trump in there so that he could do a land grab on what land he does have in Ukraine, so he could settle for a quarter of it, and then about 10 years from now, he'll take the rest of Ukraine. That's the reason. That's why. That's why he wants fucking Donald Trump in office. That's the reason why Donald Trump is in office. So that Putin wins. And that's also why, I'll give you another thing. Probably none of you remember it, but right before the election for Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, Putin came out in support of Kamala Harris. He's fucking playing us. This is downright kindergarten level reverse psychology. He was using reverse psychology on the entire American public because Vladimir Putin knows he looks bad in America. Because he's bad. He's a bad person with bad ethics, and he's killed people. So of course, if a tyrant comes out and says, like, imagine if Hitler was still alive. And Hitler went, hey guys, I'm in support of Bernie Sanders for president. Do you think Bernie Sanders is going to win the presidency? No. Of course he came out in favor of Kamala Harris because the opposite would come true.
Specifically yours, helped drive Putin into the arms of China, forming a bloc that's larger than us.
So you won't answer that question.
By the way, saying that the fucking, Russia doing this fight with Ukraine formed a bloc between Russia and China, and they're together now, and they're bigger than us. What the fuck did you think side that they were on? They both hate America. Of course they're gonna come together. Like, duh, fucking duh. Like, that's almost as big as a duh as when Russia teamed up with Hitler during World War II and they smushed Poland. It was in both of their interests. That's why we worked with the Soviet Union to kill Hitler, because it was in our best interest. And guess what? Now, right now, it's in China's and Russia's best interest, economically and militarily, to form a giant nation together. And they're not going to do that, but they are going to be allies with each other because it's the best way to beat America. Think about it. America has a fucking monopoly on military. Not only are we the toughest motherfuckers to fight, but also you have all of Europe that isn't Russia fighting with NATO. You have India that would probably back us against China, which would totally even out the playing field. And with our military superiority fighting in China, China would be wiped off the face of the earth by India and us. It would be over. But so they formed together. Wow. Surprising. Do you think we were bewildered back in the 60s when North Korea, the communist nation of North Korea, and China and the Soviet Union teamed up? No! We were like, of fucking course they're gonna do that. That's why General Douglas was like, nuke China. And that's why Truman was like, you need to calm the fuck down, bro. Like, you need to calm down. This is Alliedship 101. Oh, wow. Once one nation starts to get a little tough, the other nation picks them up because they have a vested interest. Really? Fucking really? Wow. Geopolitics major over here, motherfucker.
He is literally our enemy right now. That is correct. A tragedy for the United States.
No, you're saying, but you won't say he is our enemy. And look, like I
don't want to be enemies with Russia. It doesn't help us at all. It may help some people in the United States, but in general, I don't want to be.
I don't want to be at war with Russia. I don't think it is in our interest.
We don't want to be at war with any nation. War is bad. Wow, fucking fire is hot. Wow. What a fucking revelation. Is this what it takes to be in fucking politics? I don't want war. War is bad. Really? Fucking fire is hot and water is wet. Wow. Fucking genius. In summer, it gets hotter than winter. Snow falls in the winter. Fucking brilliant. It gets colder during the night because the sun's not out. Jesus Christ. What are we talking about?
Don't want Russia aligned with China. That is a disaster.
But listen, no doubt, and I want Russia and China attention, so I agree with you there. But I think Putin is a KGB thug. I think he is a...
Holy shit, really?
Bad man. Now, I don't want to go to war with him over that,
okay.
but I'm not naive, and like I watched
your
episode.
He's a bad man. Okay.
He is. He's a KGB agent. He's murdered journalists and political rivals. He's disappeared people for less.
Look, I watched your episode where you went to the Russian grocery store, and
And you were sucking the dick of Putin for like 20 minutes.
Is that disloyal, do you think?
Yes.
It was just...
You should be tried for treason. No, it's not against our interest to go to another country. But I'm saying you don't need to suck up to a foreign power.
Weird.
Weird.
Especially an enemy territory, foreign power. That's like if not Winston Churchill, who's a good speaker back then. I don't fucking know. Imagine the Tucker Carlson equivalent of 1940 going over to Hitler and being like, "Oh, this is a nice area. This is really cool." Fuck you.
It was like a promo video for Russia, and I don't understand. I'm not attacking you when I ask why, because I'm genuinely like, I don't get
like when you called me and I said something. You weren't attacking me, you were just noticing.
No,
but may I ask you a question? So here, well, let me just answer yours by saying the United States, the Biden administration, with your help, full support, began this war on Russia in response to their invasion of Ukraine. And one of the things was they kicked Russia out of SWIFT, of the international financial system. Yeah. And my first response was, this is going to really hurt the US dollar, which it has. And I hope someday we can have a conversation about that. It's really, really hurt the one thing that we needed, which was to retain dollar supremacy. So I was interested in the economic condition.
By the way, that's a reasonable point and a serious conversation.
I'm aware. And
but I can agree with you.
No, but I was accused of being, I think it's weird that you went to a Russian grocery store and said it was prosperous. No, my point is
it looked like a commercial. It looked like a...
Also, the reason why prices are lower in Russia is not relative to how much money we make here in America. We make a lot of money here in America. Like, a lot of money. Like, the average person makes a lot of money. Comparative to a Russian person. A Russian person makes fucking shit. If you tried to live off of a Russian salary here in America, you'd be on the streets in about 20 fucking minutes. Now, however, you go over to Russia with an American salary, and guess what? Those prices start to seem really low. That's what we are thinking here in America. Wow, those prices are really low. No, they're paying the exact same amount of money that we do, only because their dollar is worth less than our dollar. That's the reason. They make less money over there, so everything has to cost less over there. Currency is a fucking relative of the area you're in.
The commercial isn't this one.
And the society you're in and how much money the average person makes.
Wonderful.
No, it was an argument.
That's why we're so fucking angry over here, is because the average person over here in America can't fucking afford groceries in life. They can't afford to live here in America. That's why we're fucking angry over here. And the reason why it looks so good over there is because our salary over here could actually survive in Russia. Although that would be a horrible fucking commute.
Argument against the efficacy of sanctions. Sanctions against Russia, which you casually and enthusiastically imposed, scoring a little moral victory every time, had no material effect that helped the United States. Russia is backstopped by China, and I recommend that you go there and see it. It is way nicer than Washington, D.C. Way nicer. To me, that's a tragedy. I was horrified and angry at my leaders, including you. It's like, I want to live in a country that's nice. So, with low food costs and no homeless people.
All right,
I don't.
I'm gonna stop him again right here. What do you think happens to homeless people in Russia? Let's think for a second. What do you think a dictatorship does to homeless people? Let's just put our thinking caps on for a fucking second. Let's ponder for a minute here. What do we think happens to homeless people in Russia? Maybe they get fucking imprisoned. And why do groceries cost less in Russia? Because everyone's fucking poor in Russia.
I don't understand why that's too much to ask.
So do
Instead,
I.
I get worse with Iran. No, I just want lower food costs. How's that?
So, look,
We will only be able to lower food costs with more wars in the Middle East. Don't you know this?
it's a weird argument that you do often, which is, listen, things are crappy in America. Liberals have done bad things to America, so we shouldn't worry about any
not
enemies
liberals,
around the
Republican
world.
senators.
Republicans
they don't
do.
care about us. They're focused on other countries.
You wrote that
and
in
our country is dying, and you don't care because you're focused on Iran
you
or
don't,
Putin.
So you believe that I don't care about America. I guess you believe Donald Trump doesn't either. Like nobody cares.
I believe that your focus is way too on other countries. It's way too focused outward. The money that you send abroad could be used here and should be.
What money that I send abroad, by the way, I emphatically agree with
Ukraine? You don't even know.
I emphatically agree with Donald Trump's, for example, dramatically slashing USAID. I think the only reason we should be deploying that is to benefit U.S. interest, national security interest, and keep Americans safe. And
no. I would like to put, if you want to be the world policing power, you also have to be the fucking world protector. That's my thing. That's what I would like to say right there. Hey, U.S. aid helps every nation in the world. And guess what? They're always grateful for it. U.S. aid runs a lot of the emergency management situations across the world. When there was a big fucking earthquake in Myanmar months and months ago, no one knew what the fuck to do. No volunteers could get there. No nations could get there. No one could get there. No agencies could get there because USAID got slashed so fucking hard that they were SOL. They're left out to dry.
And so,
how much did you vote to send to Ukraine?
Look, you were in about $80 billion.
$80 billion.
Yeah.
80
So you're in. You love just giving these broad characterizations that are not accurate. I'm genuinely puzzled. Look, I don't want to go to war with Russia. But I don't think they're our friend. I think Putin.
Give this guy a Nobel Peace Prize right now. Wow, he doesn't want to go to war. What a fucking shocker.
I agree.
I think Putin is a murderer. I think he's a liar. And I think he does not wish well on America.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's a difference between saying that, just like Reagan referred to the Soviet Union as an evil empire, and Putin was in the KGB. Look, my father was imprisoned and tortured in Cuba. I hate communists. It was actually Batista that tortured my dad. My aunt was imprisoned and tortured by Castro. I hate communists. I think communism is evil. And so I think there is a value to, there is nobody who stands up to communist China more in the Senate than I do, because I think they're evil. Do I want to go to war with China? Of course not. That would be ridiculous, but I think we have all sorts of tools to stand up to our enemies. And I think China is engaged in a 1,000-year war against the United States.
Okay.
They're trying to...
That is the stupidest fucking thing I've heard this entire goddamn interview. China has been at a 1,000-year war with the United... A 1,000-year war. I don't know about you, but 1,000 years ago, the United States didn't fucking exist. The United States wasn't a fucking concept. We're only 300 years old. 1776 is when we were born. We only started fighting in 1775. We were only discovered in 1492. That's still not 1,000 years. Our continent wasn't discovered by Europeans until 1942, until 1492.
We're so all over the map. We're your family in prison in Cuba and China and all this stuff. I agree with you. I'm totally opposed to communism, always have been. I don't think that Putin loves us. I'm distressed by the moral condition of most leaders around the world, most of them. They all kill people. I'm against that. I'm just saying
Breaking news: local guys against people killing people.
Wish the focus here was more on the
Can I say
United
something?
States. That's all I'm
I
saying.
actually don't agree with that
morons.
statement. They all kill people. There's a moral relativism. So I don't think Donald Trump is a murderer. He doesn't kill people. We don't have
Calling
concentration
Donald
camps.
Trump a murderer.
But
I'm
you just
saying-
said world leader.
Fucking God, bro. First of all, Nobel Peace Prize for Tucker Carlson, too. He thinks murder is bad. Fucking brilliant. Get this guy up to heaven right now. This guy thinks murder is bad. Also, Ted Cruz, you don't think Donald Trump has killed some fucking people? Let's be so fucking for real. First of all, he's killed Qasem Soleimani. Even if he's a fucking piece of shit, evil motherfucker, that's still a person. First of all, it's still a person. Also, just me. I would blame Donald Trump for every single COVID death that happened in America because he defunded the fuck out of our agencies that were there to combat big diseases such as a pandemic, such as COVID-19. He defunded those like a month before COVID came here to America. He stalled on the COVID vaccine. He stalled on certifying it. He stalled on he made people believe that the vaccine was bad for you. He told people to drink fucking bleach and cleaner because that might be good. Shine UV fucking rays in you because that might cure it. And then he allowed the conspiracy theories about the COVID vaccine for years and years afterwards, of like you put a fucking metal spoon against your skin and it'll stick, or like you glow in the dark after you take the fucking COVID vaccine. Bullshit. I don't glow in the dark. I took the vaccine, the second vaccine, and then a booster shot. I didn't take like the other boosters that they recommended. But I've never had COVID in my life. I've never had COVID. And I thank the vaccines for that because I believe in fucking science. And I don't believe that a vaccine is going to make me glow in the dark. And also, by the way, if I glue in the dark, my veins glowed in the dark, I would say that's pretty fucking cool. I muted.
There's a moral relativism.
I'm hardly a moral relativist.
But you are. That statement was the essence
I'm an
of
anti-Semite, an isolationist, a moral relativist. Okay. No, I'm not.
Did you just say world leaders all kill people?
I'm saying I'm against killing people in general. And hyperventilating about how Putin was in the KGB or whatever. I just want to serve American interests, and pushing into China is not in our interest at all. And you helped do it, and you haven't apologized. And you
That's
should.
good. And by the way, you're the cheerleader. I helped drive him into China. It's a complete lie.
You funded the war against him.
No, I authored the legislation that shut down Nord Stream 2 that prevented the war. And if Trump had still been in the White House, we would have had the war. And look, the comment you made, the reason things like moral relativism.
That's complete bullshit. It doesn't matter who the fucking president is. It matters that he wants more fucking land. We're over here bickering what fucking president we want. Meanwhile, fucking Napoleon 2.0 over here is trying to grab Prussia again.
Are so dangerous. Oh,
That was a euphemism for Crimea and Ukraine itself. That kind of flew off the table.
everyone kills people. No, there is a difference. The
hardly
United
a moral
States,
relativism.
we don't have concentration camps. We don't torture and murder people. You look at China.
Guantanamo Bay, the Japanese internment camps in 1942.
Where they've got 1 million prisoners
1940.
in concentration camps. You look at Putin, where he's got prisoners in Siberia. He tortures and murders his political opponents. Donald Trump doesn't do that. America doesn't do that. And by the way,
What are you
most other
talking
countries
about?
don't do that.
I see the game. It's like, I'm
No,
distressed.
you're the one playing a game.
I'm distressed.
No, I'm responding with facts. You don't like the facts.
Yo, I didn't know Ben Shapiro is here. You don't like facts because facts don't care about your feelings.
I don't even know what facts you're talking about. I'm not saying that Trump puts people in concentration camps. I campaign for Trump. I love Trump.
So did I.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with Trump. I'm merely saying
When you said every
I
world
want
leader
more-
kills people, it puts
just
them
want
all
more
in the
emphasis on what's happening inside the country. That's it.
Is there a
That's
moral
it.
difference between America and our enemies? Is there
Are
a
you
moral difference
joking?
between America?
Of course.
And what is it? Articulate
I'm
it. It's
American.
valuable to say why. Why are we a better country founded on better values than China?
I'll tell
What's
you.
the difference?
I'll tell you why.
And I know,
Because the whole purpose of America is to protect the God-given rights that each person possesses by virtue of being created by God.
amen.
God-given, are you talking about our American rights? Because many different countries have many different numbers of rights. I mean, the Germans have what, like 26? We had 10 originally. What are you talking about? We had to amend the Constitution so many fucking times. I mean, did God just forget some of the God-given rights? What are you talking about?
The God-given. I'll tell you.
What's the difference?
I'll tell you why.
And I know
because the whole purpose of America is to protect the God-given rights that each person possesses by virtue of being created by God.
Also, if you would like to know a lot about your God-given rights, search up Japanese internment camps 1941 to 1945. You'll know all about your precious rights. You can also search up about the Patriot Act about your God-given rights.
Amen.
By being human. That's the point of our founding documents. And no other country articulates that.
Search up Edward Snowden.
In the way that we do. And that's what I love about America. My family's been here a long time. I'm never leaving. So I really love the country. Despite going to a Russian grocery store, despite asking you questions about AiPAC, I love America is the truth. And I love Trump. So, but I just want more emphasis on America. That's it.
I emphatically agree with America first. I think Donald
Does he?
Trump does as well. And I think his foreign policy has been vigorously protecting that. And
Does he? Does he believe in America fucking first?
I agree with
I'm gonna keep my fucking mouth shut.
the president.
Good. Well, I appreciate your taking all this time.
Sure.
And I know you didn't mean it. You called me those names. Thank you, Senator.
How fucking lovely they made up in the end. Also, I would like to add a little something at the end. Here's a few things that Tucker Carlson... I'm losing my voice because I screamed so much. Here's Tucker Carlson.
Iraq is a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-literate primitive monkeys.
He said primitive monkeys if you didn't hear him. And another one.
So my question, really simple to you, is the culture into which they're coming, the Western civilization we're talking about, superior to the culture that these immigrants are bringing? The culture of Sharia law, the culture of theocracy, the culture of the Middle East. Is ours better than theirs?
Just so you can, have a sort of a refresh of how bad Tucker Carlson is.
You say that. It's a really simple question. Well, I can't say.
Okay, just so we're all back on track that they are both big pieces of shit, and I need to probably I'll probably get a bunch of recommendations for the Tucker Carlson website now, even though I don't fucking like Tucker Carlson. What a fucking shit show interview that is with the two of them. I'm glad that they kissed and made up in the end. I'm glad that they were able to suck off Donald Trump surprisingly well nearing the end of that interview. Thank you so much for watching my breakdown of the Tucker Carlson Ted Cruz little interview that they had with each other. I'm gonna need to go grab some water because I have shot my voice out thoroughly. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, share, subscribe, especially share. I would love for more people to see my content. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next episode.